to Dan Dennehy Racing HQ here in sunshiny Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm Dan.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And you've never met us before, obviously. All kidding aside, what we wanted to do is to make this video and this post to congratulate our 2023 winners. Now, as we're congratulating those people, I'm going to let Chris talk about some decisions that we made for this year that we're going to incorporate into next year.
So, quick backstory. The points have been done since August. It's taken me and Dan not long just to hook up because Dan works for SCCA and September's awful busy, and then the two of us decided to go to Time Trial Nationals together, so that took some more time. But the issue was with the OPTT series was we set a minimal of 4 events, and if you did all 5 events, you could drop an event. Running the points that way, 8 people were eligible to finish. 8. And you guys did way too good of a job this year. I'm not going to give away just 8 finishing positions. So talk with Dan.
Yep.
What we decided on was basically anybody who showed intent to be in the series. So instead of what we had before, if you did more than 2 events, you're in to the points. And because we had a lot of people that just did 1 event in our OPTT schedule. Mm-hmm. So if you did 1 event, sorry, you don't make the cut. If you did 2 events or more, we just took your points and ran with it. Mm-hmm. And we got significantly more finishers that way. Mm-hmm. Probably going to do that for 2024 as well. I think that's just a better way to go about it. Dan kind of agrees. Mm-hmm. That also opens the door for maybe bringing Mid-Ohio in, because now you don't have to do all the events. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to worry about Mid-Ohio being the odd kid out on, when it happens on a Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's something we can possibly work on next year. So that's what happened. So apologize. I know that wasn't what we promised at the end of the year, beginning of this year, but this was kind of our second year doing the OPTT mm-hmm. stuff. We're kind of learning, and mm-hmm. I don't want this series to be stressful for you guys. It should be just relaxing. I don't want you to worry about trying to make all 4 events. I'd rather you just do
as many as you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 2 events to get on the board.
It's about fun and inclusion.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be fun or inclusive of us to only give 8 awards when over the course of this year versus 2022, we've seen significant uptick in participation. And that's all thanks to all of you showing up and going to events. I know at Mid-Ohio, we had nearly 80 cars, mm-hmm. which the year previous, I think we struggled to have 20.
Yeah.
We launched an April date that was part of the Pit Race Majors. We had 15 cars there. That's a completely new event for our series and schedule. That was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Plus it rained. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you were there, you had some great seat time. If you weren't there, you missed out. But the reality is that we very much want this to be a fun place for everyone to participate, and especially for all of you who are only able to make it to 1 event. Next year, if you can make it to just 1 more, then all of a sudden you're going to be in a shout of a position within your class. So we're going to confirm that in a couple of months, but we made that change because, again, we want to give people some trophies. And to give you an idea of what the trophies look like, Manfred, I still have your championship trophy from 2022. So at some point, I need to give this to you, sir. But these are some phenomenal trophies. Thank you very much to Hawk Performance for allowing us to be able to offer such awesome trophies. Our hope is that we can try to get these out to both NE Ohio and Steel City in time for your rewards banquets. We will try our best.
Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Never stand still, that's the motto. Yeah. Brand new bands for the auto. Oh. Foot to the ground, full throttle. Weight energy for the night like lotto. Damn, y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life in the sun for a plot. Vault full of songs, all in the bombs. Something like a minefield guy. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't never do it at their houses. Fit a week worth of work in a minute.
Now Chris is going to give the names of the winners.
So maybe that's my phone up here.
And I'm going to drink a cheers beer, and I hope all of you are cheersing with me.
So with what we just discussed, there's actually still classes that don't have anybody who won because we only had 1 person show up for any of the positions we have recorded. And we have some other stuff we'll talk about too. We had some interesting data from over the series, things you guys have been asking for. I paid attention. But we'll go through the positions we have, and after this video comes out, I'll actually post all this on OPTT. So going down through S1, we actually have a tie for third. 30 points apiece, it's Mark Chiffin and our very own Gene Kern. Second in S1 is Jeff Schopper. Sorry if I butcher anyone's names. And first in S1, you know him, you love him. The man, Derek Monkey, is first in S1.
I guess we need to call that man the Corvette Phoenix, because if you didn't know, at Time Trials Nationals a couple weeks ago, Derek may or may not have correctly installed his exhausts on his Corvette, and it may or may not have basically worn his brake line to leaking, and it may or may not have created a fireball. Thank God he was at a track where that extinguisher was nearby, and the man, being a legend, had the car fixed within the day and was able, I believe, to compete all 3 days of Time Trials Nationals. So
He looked like an absolute madman, covered in grease and dirt and sweat, and we got back out there, so it was awesome.
yes,
So good,
kudos to you.
so good to see one of our own people out there just killing it.
Yep.
So, and Derek's name's gonna come up again later in this video, and you'll see why, for something pretty special, along with some other people. S2, second place with 30 points is Michael Short, and in first place in S2 we have Tom Connolly.
Nice.
S3, one finisher, and 57 points, our very own Still City's Rick Terrell in S3.
Nice.
S4, some dude in second place named Chris Carlisle, and you know him, you love him, Joseph Harbart finished out in first place in S4. Good job, Joe.
Well done.
S5, we had one finisher, and this dude was an absolute madman for coming to our events because he was traveling like 5 or 6 hours. But Saren Kodopoli, hopefully Saren, I got your last name right, was literally just showing up at like those events we had 15 people at.
Yeah.
Saren was driving like 5+ hours to come to our events.
Coming all the way from Michigan.
Yeah, so he was the only finisher in S5, but it was super well deserved, and hopefully we see him again next year because he's a great dude.
Yeah, Saren, you're awesome. I got the joy and pleasure of racing against him in B-Spec 2 summers ago. The kid is a stick, so we hope we keep seeing you at events.
So then down in S6, one finisher, will be Justin Ingram Packey with 38 points.
Well done.
So good job, Justin. And that rounds out our sport class people. We had a bunch of single time show up people in T1, so nobody there. So we'll move right on to T2. In second place in T2, guy who's one of our series sponsors, or responsible for it, with 27 points, Taylor Allen.
Kudos to him.
Good for him. And then right ahead of him with 30 points, Jason Anderson, rounding out T2.
Also keep in mind, Jason has been racing several wheel-to-wheel races, and I know at the Time Trials National Tour event in August, the pit race, he was time trialing and road racing, took home some serious hardware that weekend. Is a complete madman, and we appreciate you very much for being probably the most un-Corvette person in a group of friends where how many Corvette owners do we have? And I'm looking at you and Triple C.
Yeah, your New Balances are in the mail. So, moving down to T3, a personal friend of ours in third place who had a hell of an ending this year, Nathan Guess, with 23 points. With 24 points in second place, Derek Curry. So it's two Still Cities guys running out second and third. And with 33 points, taking it overall, my new S2000 brother, Nick Luther. So he will round out T3. T4, for as big of a class as it was, I think we had probably close to like 14 or 15 recorded times.
Yeah.
We only had 2 people that had more than one time that we could pick from. Second place, 39 points, the rotary man himself, Robert Korn.
Kept it on all 4 tires. I am proud of you, Mr. Korn. I am proud of you.
And his oil level, not too much, not too little. And then in first place, one of our longtime members, Brian Salo, rounds out T4 with 52 points.
Great job, Brian.
So good job, buddy Brian. T5, we got a bunch of single finishers, so we can get anybody. Down to M1. M1 second place finisher, kind of came from behind this year. His car spent some time on jack stands, but he pulled it off with 45 points. Eric France is second place in M1. And in first place in M1, there we go, get messages. First place in M1, Mike Wachowski with 52 points. And he will win M1.
Nice.
M2, a couple names here we know. With 19 points, and my phone keeps going up. Mike Menakis with 19 points. Second place, Michael Kubiak with 30 points.
Nicely done, Coos.
And in first place, Mr. Civic Man himself, Ian Krebs with 42 points. So pretty good battle there this year in M2. Moving down to M3, we have a second place finisher, Thomas Wieand, I hope I said that right, with 29 points. And taking first in M3, Tony Weber with 75 points.
Nicely done, Toby. Toby's got
excellent
one of the coolest Zs. If you haven't noticed it, it's a deep burgundy or maroon. But
A nice
he
wing,
has, yeah, well, I was going to mention, the wings on that car, he pulls apart and assembles every time he goes. It's like detachable aero. And he's developed all the stuff himself, confirming what my suspicions that Toby is way smarter than he'll ever be. But if ever you haven't talked to Toby or checked out that Z, definitely check it out because that aero is way more trick than you ever actually thought it was. Give it a look.
As we go down to, it was M3 down to M4. One person, that came out twice this year, and that was enough. Dale Henry with 38 points. So Dale takes home the win in M4. M5, just a bunch of singles, nobody there. And the only other class we had double showing up was in U1. Second place, Brendan O'Donnell with 22 points. And in first, you know him, you love him, Devin Keeling, 60 points. Nice job, Devin.
Also, big kudos out to Devin for finishing, top 5, top 7 at Time Trials National Tour, putting down an absolute screamer and keeping a lot of much bigger budget cars on us this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to say, did he finish first or second in U2? U1. I think he finished second in U1.
I think so, yeah.
And that's just a really phenomenal. One thing that we really noticed, Chris and I this year at Time Trials Nationals, those of us from OPTT who showed up, really showed up. Chris and I took up the back because we took my piece of crap Jackrabbit.
Got us there and got us home.
But a lot of great drives from local members. Kudos to everyone. The last thing that I want to mention, which I think is really special, is that we have 3 names of dudes who went to every event that we hosted this year. And that's pretty phenomenal. So we want to just take an extra moment to just appreciate you guys. Let me grab the names real quick.
Yep.
You'll know them, you love them. Derek, everything that you're doing this year, phenomenal. All 5 of our events and Time Trials Nationals. Toby, who we just talked about with that badass Z. And then Joseph Harbert, we love you too, brother. Joe and the whole Rat Air team, just all those kids who are really just drinking from the fire hose, coming to every event, a bunch of endurance events. Even though they're young, they're coming with the right spirit and energy. And it's been just a really fun year.
We're basically telling you have an addiction problem and you need to seek help.
And none of us here are going to discourage that because we're all enablers.
So here's the fun part. So not only did you guys, all 3 of you guys, come to every event we had in the series, I tallied your times, and this will be available when this goes up on OPTT. Joseph, your total time for the year was, if I'm reading this all right, which I should be, 20? Yeah, that should be right. Oh yeah, I've been event over there. 20 minutes, 19 seconds, Yeah, 20, I think I'm reading it right. 20 minutes, 19 seconds, 0.2. Toby, 19 minutes, 45 seconds, 0.3. And Derek, 19 minutes, 3 seconds, 0.5. So it's goofy to read from here, but you'll see this again. This will all be on the spreadsheet when it goes up.
Yeah.
And then finally, the one question everyone keeps asking me for some insane reason: who won, PA or Ohio? Short version, Ohio. Long version, we're banning Ohio for 2024. So I'm really sorry about this. We're just going to cut these state off and we'll sink into Lake Erie.
Just go straight to Narnia, Ohio.
Yeah. So I didn't have super great data on this. I tried to record because I knew everybody asked me last year. I did my best to record when I could, when I had, who was from where. And when you get the spreadsheet, the pink will be people from the Ohio area, blue will be people from PA. And there'll be some gaps because there were some people I was trying to figure out at the last second and I couldn't decide, or they were either just out of state or I knew they were local but wasn't totally sure where they're represented from. But just going overall entries, Ohio was 37-ish and PA was 29-ish. So again, it's not official, but even looking at the actual spread, I arranged everybody by points. The first 4 positions were people from Ohio. It was Derek, Toby, Joseph, and Devin. The first PA person comes in at number 5 is Rick Terrell. So hats off to you guys. It was awesome.
Yeah. Some things we want to mention about next year. Again, we're going to probably, and again, this is probably, we still need to connect with Dave Lancaster, Betsy, and Taylor over in Ohio before we confirm anything. But our suspicions, we're going to keep that 2 race minimum in order to be able to open up classes so that more people can finish. On our side, I had a conversation with Bob Albert yesterday, who's a local leader of Steel City. It looks like our dates are going to be the same next year. Now, next year is a leap year, so the weekends might be a little bit different. We have confirmed the 4th weekend in April and the final weekend in August. The April event will be like this year's event, where we're going to be asking intermediate and advanced drivers to come and hang, because that's going to be run with the majors event. Will be a great opportunity for people to get some great testing at the beginning of the year. End of Summer Festival is very much on the books. We believe it's going to be a Time Trials National Tour as well, so expect that to be another big event. In between, we're still working with Pit Race, Auto Interest, and Extreme Experience to be able to secure those half-track and full-track dates in July and August, so more on that as it comes. But again, anticipate at least 4 events being held at Pit Race. We'll check with Ohio to see what their dates look like next year. Typically, Nelson is good for 3 events. And we hope to continue to work with Ohio and Indy to be able to have a Mid-Ohio date, maybe even another one. Other things to make mention of, the Superlative Awards will be a separate announcement. I will be with Nate Churchill in the next couple of weeks. Nate is Misfit Auto Works. He saved my life with the cage he built and the Track Rabbit. Has done a lot of work for people in the local area. And he's going to be the one who's going to be making the Superlative Awards from scratch. So we're really excited to see what that looks like. Chris, any final thoughts?
I want to get shirts for next year. No, I really do. Ever since Vinny showed up with an indie hoodie, I've been jealous as hell. So hopefully over the off season, or if anyone on OPTT actually has connections for making, shirts and stuff, that'd be cool. I don't know. I have a rough idea what I want to put on them other than just the logo. But I just think I think the program's at the point we need some representation. So
well, and if you're still listening to this video now, 15 minutes into us just yammering on, let us know if you'd be interested in merchandise and what kind of merchandise. We see a lot of hoodies, t-shirts, hats. Would you be game for it? If so, we've got some brilliant minds like Coyote Black, who does some incredible design work that we can utilize to make designs, and we can go to something like Teespring and be able to get merchandise sent out to everyone, not have to worry about inventory. So if you're interested, let us know. Decals could be something else that we do
Yeah.
with the OPTT brand. So let's make that a reality. Let us know in the comments if that's something that you're interested in. Also, now is our time to hear your feedback of things we can do different and better for next year. I know one thing that came up, I believe Jeff mentioned this at one point, of trying to get points from a Saturday event if you attend a Sunday event, kind of like a reverse hardship. Is that something that we want to do for next year? If you have ideas and things that we can do to make things better, now is the time for us to hear it so we can go into the 24 year with a revised rule set and have even more fun than we did this year. Most important thing is we're growing the time trial community, and that is incredible. My last mention is that I would really encourage our community to start to consider volunteering as flaggers for our regions. And I mention that because often, for instance in April, we'll have 15, 20, 25 cars on track on Sunday. But if any of those drivers can be available to help flag on Friday and Saturday before their time trial on Sunday, that greatly helps the Steel City region out. I believe I have a list of 16 names who all stepped up and want to volunteer next year. I'll be getting in contact with each of you pretty soon. But that's everything for me.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry it took this long for the points. I apologize, and sorry for the last minute kind of rule change too. But again, I wasn't going to give out just 8 positions for everything everyone's done this year. I want to keep this program kind of light as possible. And in addition to what Dan said about bringing people into our program, like you said, we're a time trial, and people kind of clam up and say, "Oh, that sounds dangerous." And any of us know we have like one of the most relaxed and easiest programs going. I pulled in a bunch of new people in from track night this year. So if you're at an event that's not one of our time trial programs, please talk us up and be like, if you have a pulse in a car that drives and you're not an idiot on track, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. So hopefully I'll see you guys in 2024 with a possible working S2000 and Dan and whatever he conjures out of this, guy's from here.
Yeah, exactly. The garage of doom. But everyone, thank you so much for all that you've done this year. A big old cheers to 2023 and another cheers to 2024. So cheers to that.
Cheers.